to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta, and I am the Quiet Warrior. And I'm excited today to be at the Wedgewood Hotel in downtown British Columbia, Canada, for a very special episode. And my guest today, before I bring her on, is, Anna Dutta, my wife, my business partner, somebody that's been in my life for 24 years. And today is a special day because it's our 24th wedding anniversary. Now, I want to tell you that you can't see where we are, but we're sitting in the living room of a suite at the Wedgewood Hotel. We've been coming here on a regular basis. Everybody should have their special place, that place that you go to where it's special. It's just that escape. Well, we're sitting here and we're having breakfast, and we decided let's get on the mic together and talk about what it's like to be married for 24 years. So, Anna, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tom, and welcome to the audience.
Anna, you know what? We've been married for 24 years. Before I get into some questions I want to have some fun with, I want to tell the audience a little bit about you. I call you the astonishing Anna. People kind of look at me when I say that, and I really believe that in my heart, that you're an incredible person to me. But Anna's got a very diverse background. She's been in business for many, many years. She's a life coach. She's been a manager in the banking industry. She's also co-owner with me in our company Create, which is a people development company. And we've raised our children together. We've traveled the world. And so here we are. Anna, before we get into the question, just tell us what the Wedgewood Hotel means to you.
Well, as you've said, Tom, it is a very special place. It's a unique boutique hotel, which is downtown Vancouver. And for anybody who hasn't been to Vancouver, you got to come. It's one of those one must visit places in Vancouver. But it brings us close into what it reflects our personalities because it is unique and it's intimate, and it really gives us an opportunity to really relax and be who we are and just connect and let the world outside go by, and we can just kind of just nullify and be in this place together.
Yeah, it's an awesome place. And so I want to throw out the first question, and that is the most memorable moment in 24 years and what love means to you. So why don't you go first?
Wow. Having gone through an exercise of what I gave you for one of our gifts is putting together snapshots of 24 years. But I think it really has to go back for me on our wedding day. It was really like a fantasy. It was when we exchanged, we made up our special vows, and it was like a fairy tale because it was up on the mountain at Simon Fraser University, the Diamond Club. And we just had the people that were the most important to us, our own family and friends and best friends, and that's all it was. So the people that meant the most to us, that would be it. One of many, 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 many.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that goes way back. I can remember that day, and it was snowing. Incredible. What does love mean to you?
Love means allowing probably the person that whoever you're in relationship with, be who they are, honor them no matter how different they are from you. As you know, we are very different, Tom, but it really works. It's like a puzzle in two pieces fitting together.
Thank you. Well, maybe I'll jump in on that one. First of all, Dr. Hartman, I've talked about him and sometimes on our show. And for those listening, Anna and I are certified to teach some of his personality science. And everything we do is we look at the motive, what it is behind the behavior of people using that science. And so he's classified Anna and I, our relationship, as blood, sweat, and tears.
That's for sure.
So now we're really getting down to the truth. This hasn't been easy. 24 years has been a roller coaster.
For sure.
There's been times where I've said, I don't know if we're going to make this journey. The difference between Anna and I is I'm a what they call a blue personality. So I'm about intimacy. I basically live through energy and deep relationships from people. I'm very verbose. I talk a lot. I'm emotion-based. I wear it on my sleeve. And Anna's a red personality, which means her motive is is power, which is not good or bad, but to get things done, get up in the morning and move forward. And, she's a visionary. And so we're opposites. In fact, my personality controls other people through emotion, and Anna's controls people through logic. And sometimes we'll have this joke between us, who's the most controlling? And well, we already know what the answer is, Anna, so we can skip that question.
As they say, yes, the Titans, the fight of the Titans.
But the truth is that I think the relationships that last the longest are the ones that are opposite, because we can draw on the strengths of each other to overcome our own limitations if we're open to it. So, the first question was the most memorable moment in 24 years, what love means to me. Certainly our wedding day is right up there on my list. The memorable moment for me that when I first thought about this question was the day our daughter Kalinda was born. And I haven't told this story before on the show, but if for those who may not know, we were expecting little Tommy, my son, and unfortunately we lost him. And it was a very painful time. And then the magic and miracle of our daughter, expecting our daughter. Well, the day of delivery, we're in the operating room, and they gave me Kalinda, remember, Anna?
Yes, for sure.
They gave me the baby, and they said, you go out. Now, of course, I'd never had a child before, so I'm thinking, is this normal? They give me the baby, and they rush me out of the OR, and I'm up to a room in the hospital. And Anna, you were in there for 4 or 5 hours, right?
Yeah. So what happened is the gynecologist, the head gynecologist, came in and says, "Oh, we did actually made a little, because it was unfortunate, a cesarean birth. We nicked your bladder, so now we're going to call the urologist to come down and to repair it." And I thought, so no problem, as long as the baby's fine. I saw her kicking, screaming, yelling, that's fine. And then they put me under, and that was the last thing I remember.
Well, the truth is, and I'll get back into my story on it in a minute, but the truth is, nicked your bladder turned into the truth, which was what?
They sliced the whole top of my bladder.
And how much blood did you lose?
They more 2 pints. They were setting me up for a blood transfusion.
So
at that
of course,
point.
everybody, here's little Tommy. I mean, at that time, I was about 31, 32 years old, young guy. My wife's bladder's lopped off, losing 2 pints of blood. Sounds like the Black Knight in Monty Python's quest for the Holy Grail. It's just a flesh wound, right? They never told us until a few days later. But here's what happened. That is not why it was a memorable moment, by the way. I went upstairs and I was holding my daughter, and of course, I got to give her first bath, and she was looking for mom. So I took my finger instinctively and I stuck it in her mouth, and she started sucking on my finger. And she sucked on my finger so much it became like a prune. And it was the most incredible connection I had. I still, get emotional thinking about it, where I, as a dad, got the first opportunity to nurse the baby and give my daughter, her bath. And whenever I look back, I just never forget that day. It was the magic of, bringing a child into my life. And I love you, Anna, for that. What does love mean to me? Love is to wake up in the morning and find little things to do to make you feel special, to light you up. Now, these I call blue things, and the truth is a lot of times you don't notice them, right?
No, not at all. Just things that's got to get done, right? I don't know.
I'll go through the place and put little flowers here and there only to find that Anna never notices it. But I've learned over time to do these little things to light you up. And even if you don't notice it, I'm happy because, it makes me feel good doing it.
Actually, I do really, really appreciate it. It's just one of those things. And like you say, I'm moving along to the next thing. So thank you very much. And off I am to the next, right? Here we go.
All right. So let's test you out, Mrs. I do notice.
I do
What
notice.
is the one thing around here right now as we're sitting? So we're at the Wedgewood Hotel, as I mentioned. Our bed is to our left, and we're sitting in front of a table. We've just eaten a breakfast, some healthy breakfast. Anna's in her Wedgewood robe. I'm in a sweater and pair of jeans. And what is it, the one thing that I did this morning that I knew you absolutely loved, that is that little blue, maybe big blue thing that sometimes you don't notice? Let's see what you think.
I believe that not only you set the table, it looks very nice for our breakfast, but also because, I listen to my programs every morning, and you brought the iPad. I listen to Joel Osteen, everybody, and Joyce Myers. Those are my two go-to people first thing in the morning. And you set it up, and it was just lovely.
Holy shit. Okay. Well, you saw it. So she nailed it. So, we're sitting here, everybody, and of course I brought my Microsoft Surface. Of course, Anna doesn't see detail. It's a Surface, not an iPad. And she's smiling. My Microsoft Surface, I have it on a little stand, and I have my little portable Bluetooth speaker, and we put on Joel Osteen's show. Now, those who haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube. Joel Osteen, who actually does a faith-based show, and the last episode we just listened to is called Peaceful on Purpose. And these are 30-minute shows, and they're just full of great teachings from the Bible. So, yes. Now, I packed those things, Anna, and it was extra stuff in my luggage and time to put it together. But to me, those are small things to do, to make your life just extra special. So now I get to flip it around. Tell me one thing you did for me that's a little blue thing.
So I am, and everybody, when you know the personality traits, you'll understand. Because I know it's so important to you, I think one of the gifts, forget the ones that I bought, is what I did is I made basically a snapshot of our 24 years together from day one all the way through, and I wrote something personal to you, and I gave it to you. You haven't had a chance to go in through detail, but it really highlights various aspects to our journey in 24 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about it now and getting emotional. So yesterday, everybody, we went out for dinner. We have a place we go downtown, which is not far from the hotel. And we sat in the lounge in this place and we exchanged gifts. And, Anna, I gave you something, and Anna gave me a few little things, health things. And then she gave me, it was like a binder, which had on the front of it from the year we got married. It said date to today, 24 years. And, it wasn't a divorce agreement, thank God. But when I opened it up, there was like pages and pages of pictures that Anna had pulled from our Dropbox where we store our photos in the cloud of like memory lane. It's incredible. It's emotional. So I think in that, Anna, is just the gift in that to me is just part of the reason why 24 years we stayed together is taking all those memories and using that as power to drive our marriage forward. I mean, sometimes memories are not good. Sometimes there's challenging ones. But I think sometimes to sit back, even if it's every 6 months, and look at memories, look at pictures, remember the good things, fill our subconscious minds with seeds, not weeds. That just makes our relationship stronger, right? All right, let's go to the second question. What's your secret to staying in love over 24 years? Or I could go first, whatever you want.
Go ahead, you go.
Of course. Well, it's not a secret. I think to me, it's remembering or finding out and remembering what lights you up, what makes your life fulfilled. So I'm going to be really transparent here. And most people know this. I came from a broken childhood, and my parents divorced. It was a pretty bad home for us. My family's kind of estranged. They're not all together. So I didn't really appreciate or have family in my life, and I didn't appreciate the things that come with that. Also being opposite from you, Anna. I mean, Anna likes to do things that are fun and socialize. And I found earlier in our marriage, it was very challenging because you were always wanting us to go to your parents' house. Your parents have been long gone, passed away now, but wonderful people. And I struggled with doing things that weren't comfortable for me, like having fun, like laughing, like going to the family. And then I realized, especially when I saw what it did to you, to do the things that were important to you, I realized why, we need to, in marriage, we need to find out what makes the other person tick, and we need to serve them. So I know people, I don't want you to think Tom's a servant, because that means different things, but serving somebody in love means take one thing every day that they love and do it for them without expectation of, reciprocity, anything like that. So, and it took me a while, and I know that I've failed sometimes. I haven't been the greatest husband in some of the early years, but it took me a while to see that. And I remember each time those little things that you liked, whether it was, hanging with your family or having Gemma or granddaughter sleep over, sometimes when I saw that as just, a selfish activity, I turned it around and realized that this is what lights you up. This is what makes you happy. And when I see you happy, I'm incredibly happy. So, if you want to skydive, I'll go jump out of a plane with you. If you want to just, sit with a glass of wine and watch TV, then that's okay with me too. So that was a long answer, but basically finding out what makes the other person tick, what lights them up, and remembering, even if it's not comfortable, to do those things for them.
So I think everybody gets a grasp of the personalities. Blues, and they're very expressive, and they go into a lot of details. With reds, we just kind of say bullet points. But anyways, for me, it is in order, you have to remember what it was that made you fall in love with that person. Because as life happens, and it happens for all of us, the good, the bad, the ugly, if you go back to what it was that drew you to that person, and that you found that that was endearing to you, and that you loved them for it, that's the key. And you have to revisit that, because with all the other noise, as I call it, in life, that'll detract you away from it, and you start seeing things negatively. But if you continually go back to what it was, that'll be kind of the antidote to continue to move forward in your relationship and your marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you picked up the dig there, everybody, Tom speaks in long-winded, and I speak in bullet points.
I don't think I had to explain that.
I mean, that's exactly how it is in red. Anna, the red person, she doesn't hold back. Just smack Tom on the side of the head, and he'll be okay. The truth is, when I send Anna a text message, I can never get it to fit on one screen. It's like 2 messages, and after like hours, maybe even a day, I get okay. So sometimes love comes in bullet points. Here's the thing, everybody, that now that you went there, for time in our relationship, I wanted the hand holding and the lying in bed and let's touch our feet to each other. And well, sometimes the bullet point people don't do that. And so I've learned to find out what Anna does that is her language of expressing how much she loves me. And believe it or not, when you're married to somebody who maybe is different than you, it's not the things you want. You have to look for it. And the thing is that you have to stop expecting the person you're married to do the things that you see as love, because sometimes that doesn't happen. So change the meaning of it and just take the one thing they do for you and say, she's showing me love now. Mm-hmm. I think you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely.
Said in the best bullet points I can. All right, let's move to the next question. Probably a harder question, and that is the most difficult memory and how we navigated it together. You go first.
Okay, that's an easy one for me. That would be the loss of my mom. Gosh, it's almost 13 years and I still get choked. Through life we have adversities and we go through things, but you have this rock, and that to me is the core of our being. She was it. So, I've had difficulties in my life, but I always had Mom. And when that kind of put me up, so all of a sudden that core was floating. I felt, before that, up to that, I was very accomplished, and I was very, felt very confident in myself, and in my life, I was happy. Every aspect of it, it was the dream life. And all of a sudden, it was like the storm came along with the loss of her. And it was a journey for about 2.5 years. So it wasn't just an easy, just fallout. But anyways, and then slowly, and I have to give you great credit, Tom, because you let me be me. I was in a dark place for almost a couple of years, I think. But you were there. Excuse me. I loved her so much, and I know she's here with me right now. But that was it, as you all can tell. I don't think, except for my dad passing away 3 years ago now, that was the first. Because up to then, I really haven't had. I really had a charmed life. The odd here and there, it wasn't as big, but that was my worst thing. And you fit in and completed everything that had to be around. I was in an automatic pilot. I went to work, looked after the house, I did that. But I was emotionally withdrawn for almost 2 years. That to me is the worst.
All right. Woo. Okay, let's Anna catch your breath now. you just saw that emotion from my amazing Anna, and it's still raw and it's still real. I mean, we're sitting here at this hotel, and I just remember, Anna, that we escape sometimes here when we're dealing with. We've come here when there's been difficult things in our life, and it was true over that period of time. It was. I mean, you checked out emotionally to deal with that for a long time, and I remember saying to myself, all I'm going to do is just be there. I'm not going to expect to fix or tell you how to deal with your emotions on it. I have to be patient. And everybody, when Anna says 2 years, I mean, for some of you out there, you go through these things, whether you're husband or wives, you see the other person suffering through something. 2 years is a long time. And there are people who honestly have no patience to stay the course. I have friends who say they walked out on their spouses because there's been difficult things. And I'm going like, what? Are you nuts? This too shall pass, but isn't that part of what marriage is about? It's about, I mean, it was depleting for me, giving the emotional strength to deal with that, to help you. But at the time, like they say, with faith, God carries you. When you, in the sand, you see footprints, and sometimes your footprints disappear as you're walking in the sand because he carries you. Well, I think in marriage, sometimes each partner carries each other, right? And during that time, I just, I didn't know what to do other than just say, you know what, this is a tough one. So I'm going to answer that question now myself. Thanks for being emotional on the show, Anna. That's a first. So Anna's smiling now, right, Anna? You can, Anna?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, she's looking and she's thinking about, her mom. So let's just pick this up and tell you what my most difficult memory. This is just bizarre because the most difficult memory I had since I married you is when you lost your mom. And then secondary, most likely was the loss of our son. We were expecting little Tommy. Most people don't know that. I've never had children. I married Anna and inherited 2 of her young children. But, when you lose a child, it was the most difficult. But here's the reason why I said your mom, because this is true to what a blue personality, somebody who lives through others. When I found myself the most sad and the most down is when I've seen you struggling, Anna. I've seen you struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, what I'm trying to say, everybody, is there's been a list of things in our marriage that have been challenging. I don't want to make this a downer for the show, but we're just going to talk openly. I mean, we both were remarried after coming through other relationships. And so there was an adjustment period with children, which wasn't always easy. We, in mid-2007, had a significant event happen to us. And then there's little Tommy. And of course, sometimes our jobs change and situations like that. But when I go through my list, the one that was at the top is your mom. And because I could see in the 24 years we've been together, that was the one thing that stopped you in your life. And so I want to honor Anna for sharing that story. And you know what, we both matched up on that question. Thank goodness. All right, let's move to the next one. Maybe this is part tied to that one, but faith, number 4, faith. What part does that play in marriage? This is not a religious show, but
no, that's to me, it's huge. I think I believe in God. It's very, very important because we can't expect on earth our human relationships to be there for us always. As I've always said, no matter how much you're loved, you will be disappointed by those who love you. And always know that Jesus is with me always. And I pray to him. I talk to him like he's my buddy. People say that, you got to take the religion out of the religion. But he's with me always. And, when I have just a little trial and tribulation, I'm talking to him. But I think what it does, it also releases the people that it gives them an out. They don't have to be our everything, because as we are very different, we expect people to fulfill what we want from them. And that's unrealistic. The reality is there is no one but one person or one being, and that's Jesus for me. So he's in every fiber of life within us and myself.
And we've just started, I don't know about other people listening here, but we've just started in the last while really focusing on faith. What changed for you?
I think when you're continuously challenged and, the world beats us up, it's not a terrible thing. And I shouldn't say it, maybe it's not as harsh, but, things happen. And, when I look around and really, to be honest, our life has not been very difficult in realms of the people I know around me, my colleagues, my friends, just people I know. Their lives are so challenging. And, I think what keeps them going, and if it's not faith, like I feel sorry for anybody that doesn't have faith in them or in their lives, because it doesn't allow them to just maybe take a pause and relax. Just know that the big guy's looking after things for us.
Yeah, I agree. And for those who maybe don't know our lifeline as well as we do, we've traveled the world. I mean, in my career as a executive, I was always on an airplane, but that took us also together to places. We've done, cruises. We've met people in far parts of the world, Europe as well. And, in the life experience we've had, and if I was to sit down and write my memoirs with the things we've done in life, I have no regrets.
No.
And the thing about faith for me is I wrote about this, I think, in my book a little bit, is that I gave up on my faith because as a kid, my mom was Catholic, my dad was a Hindu. My dad was originally also a Mormon before he became, into the army back in his homeland. And it just became confusing. And I always questioned when things were happening that weren't great in life, God, what's the meaning? And I gave up on it. But it was only until the last few years, Anna, where I agree, where I remember we started watching a faith-based show every morning. So we get up in the morning, we have a cup of coffee together and some breakfast, and we watch this half-hour show, right, Anna?
Mm-hmm.
And it was only that I started learning and understanding the meaning of the Bible. And then faith, sometimes when you can't see the path, you sort of just say, God, I trust you to work it out, right? And isn't that what 24 years of marriage is about? Sometimes,
yeah.
Sometimes you just can't see. Sometimes when you hit stuck points, you can't really see the way forward. But I think without faith, too many marriages perhaps end up, maybe in turmoil.
And people give up, and that's the problem.
People give up. So our message is faith. Faith drives and passion drives our relationship. And sometimes if you hit a tough point in your marriage, we're at 24 years, just have the faith that, God's working in your life and there's a meaning to that stuck point, and it's going to be greater once you're through that. Mm-hmm. Right, Anna?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's an interesting question. Let's have some fun with this one, Anna. What's the craziest thing we've seen each other do in the last 24 years? Why don't you go first?
Okay. One thing that comes to mind is when you were, I guess our daughter, Kalinda, was in grade 2, and we decided we're having an Easter party for her and her classmates. And we hid all the eggs out and whatever, Easter hunt. But we had a surprise visitor who was the Easter bunny. And here, who was nobody but Tom. You almost got this almost 6 foot tall man. And he was dressed in an Easter bunny with big white fur and pink floppy ears. And of course, then the girls were just so thrilled, and he was handing out their Easter treats and whatever have you. And that was one of them for sure. A second one brings me to mind when we were in Spain. We were in the arena, if you recall, where they have the what do they call it? The buffalo, the bull, right? And
no bull.
There were no bulls. But then I had this big red scarf, and I pretended to be the matador, and Tom, he was the bull, and he was flipping through my scarf as if we were doing the actual thing. Those are a couple that just come to mind.
We were doing the actual thing. I'm not sure what you're talking about there.
Well, whatever the matadors do, right? So
yeah, I mean, like I was thinking at that moment. I mean, they say you can come out of your comfort zone. When I was younger, before you knew me, I had that kind of dark humor and fun side to me. And over a lifetime, this crust builds up, and sometimes you kind of lose that, and you build up this armor. And well, you can kind of be yourself when you're with somebody that you trust and somebody that respects you, who's not going to poke fun at your weaknesses and kind of laugh at your strengths. So, that one, I remember it was in the middle of that arena, one of these big, Gothic arenas that the Romans were in, and I played the bull. So
yeah, that was fun.
Bull. But you forgot to mention about the feet of the bunny. There was something different about the feet of the bunny.
He forgot to get the feet of the bunny costume. He left it at the, of course, the rental place, and he thought he subsidized it with big black rubber rain boots.
Well, back then I was an executive and I was traveling. I was all on an airplane, and if I look back in my life, I kind of have some regrets. That was one of it. Is always getting on a plane and in between flights coming home and madly trying to get things done. And I went and picked up the costume, rushed, and forgot the feet of the bunny. So that day I put on my rubber boots, and when we have pictures now and when we look back at them and show our granddaughter and Kalinda, there's a bunny sitting on the steps of our home. That's me with a pair of rubber boots on. And of course people say, what's with the rubber boots?
Actually, there was the other one I totally forgot, is when we went to our friend's place, a friend of ours. He has an annual big party in the backyard, and he has a theme. And this particular summer, he had a German theme. So again, we went out to the costume rental place, and Tom, he got the actual German, the knickers and the suspenders, and I had my German a dress on and whatever have you. And I thought that was kind of cute. We should post that picture, actually.
Well, I don't think you should post it, but I'm sure you will. Mm-hmm. So, I'm getting a trend here that when you're connected to me, it's when I'm dressing up.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have worn the Chippendales outfit for our anniversary here in the hotel. I don't know. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, one of the most outrageous things I remember you did was, I hate to say it, but we were out somewhere and I walked into a men's room to use the washroom, and I looked under the stalls. One was closed, and there was these boots, looks like women's boots. Anyway, they were on the floor inside the stall, and I thought, maybe it's some guy wearing women's boots. And all of a sudden the boots disappeared, and then they came back down again, almost like somebody was doing push-ups on the toilet seat. Anyway, I went and finished what I need to do, and I came back, and just as I was coming around the corner, the door of the stall opened, and it was you. And I'm thinking and I remember saying to you, what are you doing in the men's washroom? And typical fun Anna, you just shrugged your shoulders like, oh, well.
Well, no, I thought, what the heck are you doing in the women's washrooms? I had no ideas. I should have, but because when I thought about it, because I'm moving so fast all the time, there was a bank of urinals on the side, which I didn't actually acknowledge.
Of course you did. And didn't we just finish talking about the detail and how I see the detail and you don't? But I still remember those boots you were wearing. They were the colored brown and kind of reddish brown ones. It's just one of those funniest moments. There are many outrageous moments, and to those listening to us, that there's just a couple of ours, but that's what we say when you're 24 years or you're trying to stay together for 50 years. You got to find those outrageous moments and relive them, re-talk about them, rethink them, because it creates that humor, and those are magic moments that take you back. I remember those days like they were yesterday. Our next question before we move to wrapping this up is the advice to those fallen out of love. So I'm going to jump in first on this one, Anna. There's two things. One is that it's not about the kids. And I remember we go out a lot sometimes, and there's a movie we saw, Anna and I saw one day, and we used to kind of talk about it, where there's a couple in the movie and they're sitting at a table in a coffee shop, and one's reading the paper, one's staring, and they're not talking to each other. And you see that time and time again. Is that your relationship if you're listening to us here? And so don't let yourself become people watchers. But one of the things I've learned from all the people I've met who have children who've gotten married is some of the traditional values are it's always just about the kids. But if you keep those date nights and those moments where you can connect, just you and me, Anna, where we have our little date nights, or maybe, we buy a theater pass and we go see a show and have a cup of coffee. You plan those on the calendar, you schedule them right from when you get married. You don't wait until the kids are gone. Too many of those couples are people watchers, and friends of mine have told me that, they centered their life around their kids. Everything was about the kids, maybe because that was the way they were raised or not. But at the end of the day, when the kids are gone, they're looking at each other and they've grown apart, and it's really an awkward feeling. So that's the first one, is just keep those date nights and don't make it just about the kids. Make it about yourself so you don't grow apart. And then the second one, to me, I forgot. So I'm going to let you take it from there.
Okay, well, I truly believe that the biggest thing you can do to your partner, your loved one, is to not make them responsible for yourself and your happiness, because the reality is that we expect them to keep us happy and we expect them to behave the way we want them. That's not their responsibility. The responsibility is on us, and we have to be who we are. We have to allow them to be who we are. And if we all did that, I think the pressure would be off. Laugh a lot and just deep breathing sometimes, because if you are not as patient and whatever have you, let it go, because ultimately in the end, we will laugh about the silliness and the things that at one time made us so angry or impatient is actually a memento that you're going to laugh about in the future.
I think you stole that one, because I was just going to say that, but that's the greatest thing about, growing together. I don't think when we met that we thought that way. No. I think we thought differently.
Absolutely.
And what we've learned is being opposite personalities is, and I just will add this, that you use the other person's strengths to strengthen your limitations. In other words,
learn from each other.
So there's some things Anna does really well. She's able to live in the moment, able to have fun, and I don't do that very well. So you learn that, and then look for the things that person does that are their way or their love language, which I've said that many times before. Don't look for what you expect to be their love language. Mm-hmm. And strengths and limitations, I have my own, and I'm sure you've learned what those are, and together it just works. Too many times I hear couples complain about each other, and maybe there's some jealousies in there and maybe some shortcomings, but all in all, it just works. Let's wrap up with this, Anna. I do this on all the shows. You've heard me in the studio with others. It's unscripted, and these are what I call 5 words. Now, usually they're leadership words when I do my interviews, but these are, we'll say they're love words. So I'm going to honor you with 5 words here, and then we'll flip it over to you. The first one is love. You are love. If in the dictionary I had a picture of somebody that expressed that to me, it is you. Number 2 is you are passion, in everything you do, from your gregarious laugh to, your passion for, living life to the fullest in the moment. That would be it. 3 is courage. I've seen your lifeline, and, you haven't had an easy life either, coming also from as an immigrant into a man's world in your career, being successful, going through, all the things in life, marriage, failed marriage, new marriage, everything, loss of parents, just incredible courage to keep moving forward. What are we on, number 4? And he has to keep my number for me here. Number 4 would be resilience. In other words, keep moving forward no matter what, especially, with 24 years, we haven't always had ups. There's been ups and downs. And the last one would be just fun. You are fun.
All right. One would be definitely sensitive. You are very in touch with your feelings and also others. You're empathetic, because you can actually not only be sensitive to their feelings, you actually can relate to where they're at, which a lot of people can't. Thirdly, I think you're also very resilient, Tom. I mean, we've had a lot of challenges, you personally, together, and you still continue on. I find you also have courage. No matter what, and how many times we get knocked down, you still can stand up and move forward. And the 5th one is you're such a wonderful, helpful person to others. Not only when somebody's compassionate, it's one thing, but you will also help them to move along from where they are. So those are my 5 words for you.
All right. Well, I guess after we hang up here, we can talk about all the other words that we can't mention. But everybody, I've got a bit of a cold today. My voice is hoarse, so I'm going to try to wrap this up with one last thing, and that is there's a very special day coming up, February 29th. Anna, did you want to tell everybody about that?
Yes, for sure. And as many of you already may know, that Tom is one of the featured speakers at the TEDx out on February 29th. It's at the Bear Creek in Surrey at the Art Center, Bell Art Center. It's an amazing accomplishment. Out of over 200 people, there's 14, of which he's one. I would encourage everyone, if you don't have your tickets, please come and support us. We'll be there along with our daughter, who's coming home from of course, university to attend. But it's going to be a full day, amazing speakers, all sorts, and you'll find it very not only entertaining, but also very knowledgeable.
That's right. So I will fill in some of the detail there, Anna. Anna will be in the audience that day giving me the bullet points as I'm on stage trying to remember all the lines. TEDx Bear Creek Park. The website is www.tedxbearcreekpark, just like it sounds, .ca. TED Talk is simply a 6 to 14-minute talk, and each speaker shares an idea worth sharing. And they're powerful talks. In fact, the theme of this event is called A Shift in Thinking. It's at the Bell Center for the Performing Arts in Surrey, British Columbia. 1,100 people, a very intimate venue. It's going to be outstanding. We call this a magical day. There'll be 17 speakers. There'll be school choir and school band and a couple musical acts. Everybody receives a boxed lunch. In addition to that, there'll be coffee and snacks all day. So it's going to be a VIP experience that we're putting together. And I've seen the speakers. I know all of them. It's going to be phenomenal. Magical day of learning. So we want to sell it out. There's only a few hundred seats left. And so please, make it a point of getting your tickets and we'll see you there. On that note, I'm going to wrap this up, Anna. We went overtime today because it's 24 years. Absolutely worth it.
For sure.
And so thank you for doing this with me.
Thanks, everyone.
And everybody, listen to the Quiet Warrior Show on your favorite podcast station. Give it a high rating if you can, particularly on iTunes. And live life with purpose, with passion, and live the life you deserve and desire, just like you hear Anna here and I. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca